As the film gracefully unfolds, it captivatingly takes us on a mesmerizing journey. The opening scene elegantly captures our attention as we witness a man's arrival at a private hangar, a symbol of his refined taste and opulent lifestyle. Accompanied by his vigilant armed guard escort, he exudes an air of power and authority. The scene seamlessly transitions as we are transported to the magnificence of his mansion, an architectural marvel that seems to blend harmoniously with its surroundings. Inside, the man effortlessly transforms into his swimwear, revealing a glimpse into his confident and carefree demeanor. With effortless grace, he glides toward his private pool, an oasis of tranquility nestled within the grounds of his estates. As he swims, he notices his watch at the bottom of the pool and swims down to retrieve it. An unknown man grabs the swimming victim and holds him under until he dies. The assassin, Arthur Bishop, then uses the chaos that follows to take a careful route out of the mansion and to a nearby river where he jumps in and makes his escape. Back home, Bishop meets with Harry McKenna, whom Bishop regards as a friend and mentor figure. Harry pays Bishop for his work in Colombia and they discuss Harry's son Steve McKenna, Ben Foster, before parting ways. As Bishop makes his way back to the sanctuary of his own home, a sense of anticipation and unease fills the air. Anxiously, he reaches for the newly arrived contract, hoping to find an opportunity for growth and prosperity within its pages. However, to his shock and disbelief, he discovers that this particular contract bears a sinister message, a directive to take the life of none other than Harry. A wave of conflicting emotions washes over Bishop as he contemplates the gravity of this unexpected twist. Uncertainty grips his mind as he questions every aspect of this seemingly malevolent agreement. With trembling hands, he picks up the phone and dials the number that connects him to his enigmatic employer. There is a momentary pause before a voice on the other end confirms what Bishop had feared: this contract is indeed genuine. The weight of this revelation deepens as realization sinks in. There is no room for negotiation or reconsideration. Summoning every ounce of courage within him, Bishop musters up the resolve to request a face-to-face meeting with his employer. In an era where digital communication often dominates human interaction, this personal encounter holds significant importance. It represents an opportunity for Bishop to confront not only the individual responsible for seeking Harry's demise but also his own moral dilemma. With fervent determination burning in his eyes, Bishop awaits confirmation from his employer. This meeting will serve as a pivotal moment in determining not only Harry's fate, but also Bishop's own path forward amidst this ominous turn of events. Only time will reveal how these forces will collide and shape their destinies moving forward. Bishop meets with Dean, who tells him about a failed mission in South Africa in which assassins of the agency Bishop works for were killed. Dean tells Bishop that only two people knew about the mission, Dean and Harry, and that Harry had received money in exchange for the contract details. Bishop reluctantly kills Harry and makes it look like a carjacking. At Harry's grave, Bishop meets Harry's son, Steve. Steve tells Bishop that he's going to go out and find any carjacker and kill them as revenge. Bishop secretly follows Steve and interrupts him, killing a carjacker that he had run into. Bishop recognizes the raw potential of Steve and decides to train him as a mechanic. He adopts a Chihuahua and instructs Steve to take the dog with him to a coffee shop each day at the same time. As Steve settles into his routine, Bishop escalates his training by taking him on a contract to show him what it's like. After Bishop strangles the man with a belt and stages it to look like an autoerotic asphyxiation accident, he shows Steve all the planning that went into that assassination. Bishop informs Steve that he has a contract of his own. The target is a mechanic for another agency named Burke, who frequents the same coffee shop Steve has been going to. Furthermore, Steve is told that Burke's only weaknesses are that he is interested in young men and small dogs, such as the Chihuahua they adopted. Burke makes his move on Steve and invites him out to drinks. Bishop instructs Steve to slip a large dose of Rohypnol into Burke's drink, to cause an overdose. Steve ignores this direction, and instead goes with Burke to his apartment. As Burke begins to undress, Steve attempts to strangle him with a belt as he had seen Bishop do. They engage in a struggle, and Steve manages to kill Burke after much effort. Bishop is later contacted by Dean, who expresses his disapproval of Bishop's use of Steve for the Burke contract. Bishop replies that he was given that contract through Harry and not Dean. Angry at his indignation, Dean informs Bishop that he's on a short leash. Bishop is given a new contract to kill the leader of a cult-like church, Andrew Vaughn. Steve and Bishop plan to inject Vaughn with adrenaline to simulate a heart attack, for which the paramedics would unknowingly administer a fatal second dose of adrenaline. As Bishop and Steve wait in the walls of Vaughn's hotel room, a doctor arrives and sets Vaughn up with an IV of ketamine. Realizing that the adrenaline overdose would be inhibited by the ketamine, they improvise and quickly suffocate him. When Vaughn is discovered by his guards, Bishop and Steve are found hiding in the walls of the hotel and are forced into a shootout with the guards. As the building is being evacuated, Bishop and Steve slip out and Bishop decides they should fly home separately. At the bustling airport, Bishop's eyes widen in disbelief as he spots a familiar face among the crowd. One of the many had been informed was tragically lost during the perilous South African mission. A whirlwind of emotions floods through him, leaving him both perplexed and intrigued. Summoning his courage, Bishop musters the strength to approach this enigmatic figure. As they lock eyes, a mixture of astonishment and suspicion fill the air. It is in this intense moment that Bishop's senses sharpen, and a sudden realization dawns upon him. His trusted boss, Dean, had orchestrated a cunning plan to deceive him into taking Harry's life. The weight of this revelation presses heavily on his conscience as he grapples with the enormity of Dean's betrayal. How could someone he respected and admired stoop so low? The threads of trust that once bound them now unravel before his very eyes. In this heart-stopping confrontation at the airport, every detail seems magnified. Bishop fearlessly engages in a physical altercation. With extraordinary strength and agility, he swiftly maneuvers his opponent out of the window, miraculously landing him safely inside a passing car moments before it speeds off, killing him instantly. Questions as he tries to make sense of it all. What other secrets has Dean kept hidden? How deep does this treachery truly run? As Bishop ponders his next move amidst the chaos of a busy airport terminal, uncertainty permeates his every thought. That it had been Dean who engineered the failed South African mission to cover up his own shady dealings. Having been misled, Bishop begins to get things in order, only to be ambushed by a group of mechanics. After taking them out, he uses one of their phones, and discovers that Dean was behind the hit. Racing home, Bishop calls Steve only to find that Steve has also been ambushed at Bishop's house. Bishop directs Steve to a hidden gun, which Steve uses to kill his ambushers. Steve is waiting for directions when Bishop arrives. Bishop has Steve gather supplies for their new mission, while Bishop prepares to find how to get to Dean. In the process, Steve finds his father's gun, and realizes that Bishop had killed his father, and not carjackers. In a stunning turn of events, Bishop and Steve go after Dean, but they first have to find where he is hiding. They go after his bodyguard, who is hesitant to give Bishop Dean's address. They shoot him in the leg just before Bishop gets his daughter, threatening to grind her hand off in a meat grinder. The bodyguard gives up Dean's location. Bishop and Steve continue on their quest. Bishop and Dean engage in a conversation, not knowing Bishop has infiltrated his building. Dean orders his bodyguards to evacuate him immediately.
Get the fuck out of here!
As Bishop and Steve position themselves in a garbage truck and a commuter vehicle, respectively. As Dean's convoy comes out of the building onto a busy alley, Steve drives in the opposite direction and jumps off the bus, hitting Dean's convoy in a head-on collision. Meanwhile, Dean's car is hit from the side, killing the driver instantly. Dean comes out of the wrecked car just before Bishop and Steve open fire on him, killing him. In a stunning turn of events, after successfully collaborating to eliminate the threat that was Dean, our characters find themselves on a journey to a nearby gas station. It is during this tumultuous ride that Bishop, ever observant, catches sight of Harry's gun discreetly tucked away in Steve's jacket. In that fleeting moment, Bishop's keen intuition kicks in, and he realizes with a sense of trepidation that Steve has uncovered the truth. The air becomes thick with suspense as the group grapples with this newfound revelation, setting the stage for an intense and gripping climax. Steve gets out to put gas in the car and adjusts the nozzle so it is pouring on the ground, instead of in the tank. With Bishop still in the truck, Steve pulls out Harry's gun and shoots the gas, blowing up Bishop's vehicle and the gas station. Steve then returns to Bishop's house and plays a record on the turntable before going out to the garage and taking the vintage 1966 Jaguar E-Type coupe Bishop had been working on. As he is driving off, Steve notices a note on the seat of the car, which reads, "Steve, if you're reading this then you're dead." Steve laughs and moments later the car explodes, killing him. At the same time the record player has finished playing at Bishop's house and it activates a tripwire, which causes Bishop's house to also explode. Back at the gas station, a security video reveals that Bishop escaped from his truck moments before Steve blew it up, saving him. Bishop gets in another truck he had by the beach and drives away.